Hello. So finally, after all of the stages that we've passed through and all of the trials and travails and all of the wonders and the inspiration and the enlightenment or opening or knowledge, and then after the fool kind of brought us back to who we are, we come to the end of our journey, to the world. The world, there's a couple different ideas about what the world means. Some of them get very exalted and very much attached to the notion of initiation and the travel, the path of transformation. And then the world is very much associated with the idea of enlightenment, of coming really truly to the center, to the final place, to the true understanding of who you are. This may be true for some of you, and I'm sure it's true for some people in the world, but for most of us working on the path, we go through the path many different times. And the value of using the tarot, the symbols in the tarot, and the symbols in the major arcana of the tarot as guidance on the path is the value of having markers to trace where we are and how we're moving through the path, through our journey. And that reading, I think, brings us to a much more valid and a much more useful view of what the world means. The world means, as I implied in the last few cards, it's like Dorothy returning after her journeys in Oz, or like the hero going back down to the kingdom and marrying the bride, or the princess, which is certainly a happily ever after. But it's really the point at which, after awareness and understanding, and after even seeing uh, maybe the mixed value of that awareness and understanding, or how that awareness and understanding, was always there, and maybe even a certain aspect of joke to it in the Fool's Return, we return back to our world. We come back home, we come back to our life, and we apply what we've learned, and we see our world transformed. Now, we may see our world transformed for a few minutes, we may see it for a few days, if we're lucky, a few weeks, but there will, for most of us, be some point at which that what we learned, that knowledge, what the not just the knowledge, but the true sense of inspiration and I get it, um, where the sense of realness of that sort of fades or slips away. We still have a memory of it, but the world is a pretty powerful place, and it's very easy to get caught back up in it. I remember doing yoga classes when I lived in New York, and leaving and feeling blissful and calm and peaceful and relaxed, and getting in my car and starting to drive, and immediately I'm swearing at people and cursing and like, what are you? Yeah. So you get the idea. The return to the world has both aspects of it. And I think that idea of the world as, here it is in one of my texts, the world, the return to the world, is really takes into account that notion that's our home, and that's where we bring back our knowledge. This one also, many of the meanings also, it's usually called the world, but sometimes it's called the cosmos, or the universe, to imply that it's everything, all of it. This is Crowley's, which is the universe, and it has a lot of the symbols that also you see in like the Rider-Waite, with the dancing. It looks like a woman, but many say it's supposed to be an androgynous figure, and that's what the scarf about the bottom is hiding, the fact of the androgyny of the figure. And this, in these versions, that dancer in the middle, much like Shiva is the dancer whose dance creates the world. This dancer, this dancer represents you. It represents the true self, the combination of the subconscious and the conscious, and those with the superconscious. It represents, the enlightened being. I also like that the dichotomy between the world and the universe, that it implies that that God to some extent, because this is the place where we bring God back to life, back to our world, back to our life, and also we recognize that God is everywhere as well. That both are true, the world and its sort of and the cosmic sense of the universe. Um, it's also interesting to note that Saturn is associated with this card as well, just as it's associated with the devil, but in a far more positive and, in a certain sense, potent way that the devil implies, but doesn't necessarily bring you right to. That it's the acceptance of limitation and the recognition of even a joy in limitation, in what's possible, the possibility of exploration and growth that form, the taking of form, brings us, and the return to the a kind of happy return to the form of life that we occupy. This is also the point at which we return to our life as an enfranchised being, having passed through the process of initiation. We return back charged with the obligation, enfranchised, whether you consider it the complete enfranchisement of being an enlightened being, or the smaller one of having passed through of our own particular initiation, our own path of growth. And we are enfranchised with the knowledge, with the wisdom, with the awareness that we've gained, and to share that with our community, with the life that we have chosen to take form in. The Hebrew letter associated with the world sometimes is said to mean signature, and just as a signature makes a document valid, so does the world, and this applies to both. So does the return to the world make your journey valid. What you can bring back, what you can bring back from what you've learned, even if it's just a little bit, even if you have to start back on the journey once more again right away, to retrieve that same information, eventually it sinks in. Just as hearing the same knowledge over and over again, practicing meditation or yoga over and over again, these things build, they build a substratum, a structure on which we begin to come to really be established in a sense of truth about ourself and our own nature. And each time we return to the world after the journey, we do come back wiser, even if we also come back knowing that, in fact, we're actually more and more foolish, and that we are always the same, coming to that understanding that we are who we are, and that's our gift, and that's what we bring back to the world. Bringing it back and bringing it into our real life is the signature that makes our journey valid. And with that final note, as we return to the world, either to bring back what we've learned for whatever amount of time, and as we deal with all the forces in the world that seek to overwhelm and also push us to forget what we've learned, may we all let the little bit that remains continue to feed us as we continue again on the journey, whether we use the cards or not. I hope you've enjoyed this particular look at the tarot, and very soon I will start posting astrological videos again. It's certainly a very demanding time, and there's much to be said about that. But I hope you've enjoyed this look, this particular way of journeying through the major arcana of the tarot, both with an understanding of the meaning of the cards and of how to use them as guides for your own particular practice, spiritual practice, practice of self-knowledge, practice of whatever sort. Have a great day, and I hope to see you soon.